on Monday nights, I do a show where I'll take like 100, 200 milligrams. I'll eat maybe 1.5 grams, 2 grams of mushrooms, and then I'll smoke a joint, and then I turn on my camera.
Jesus.
And it's called the High Live.
How do the mushrooms mix with the weed make you feel?
Fucking awesome.
That's not enough for you to hallucinate or anything. It's
no, it's a nice low dose. He's almost microdosing at that point. It's
well,
very
2
grams of mushrooms.
2 grams is basically enough to make the visuals are textured. You're not seeing things.
Colors are a little nicer, but it's not
colors are nicer, and it makes you really happy. That's it. Like you're really happy.
I ate about a 1/4 ounce, I think, last time I did mushrooms.
What is that
like
in
that.
grams?
7.
But that is 7 grams is a hero's journey. So he's definitely getting high.
It was more of a terror trip. It was like an episode of. It was more like an episode of Tales from the Crypt than anything.
Yeah,
I'll tell you this: like the happiest I've ever been in my entire life was when we got back home and we were safe and we sat in my bed and just hugged each other. Me and this girl who had like split 1/2 ounce of mushrooms, and like once we got back home and we were safe and we just hugged each other, and like I didn't burst out into tears, but I could have, and we were just like so happy to be back home.
Just like rocking back and forth,
hugging each other. Yeah.
How do you consume mushrooms? You eat them?
So there's a lot of ways to do it. I think like what the smart, like more scientifically inclined people will do is grind them up and put them in capsules so that you don't have to taste shit or even make tea out of them. But what I do and what I've done both times I've done it is they're like tough little crinkly dried out mushrooms. So like you can like almost roll them up into like a ball, like a booger or something. They're not sticky, but you know what I mean? You can like compress them with your fingers. And then I would take a chip and dip it in salsa, and I would pop them both in my mouth and just munch, swallow with like some water, and it covers the taste up and it gets it down. Yeah. That was just my like quick solution, like looking around my house, like what do I have to like chase?
Chips. They taste terrible.
Chips and salsa, it worked because like they're bitter and gross.
I have some if you want to see them.
I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah, sure. I know friends who are like into microdosing now. Like,
LSD?
Or is it called microdosing? Shrooms too?
Yeah. Anything that you're doing in very small doses just to activate a little part of your brain a little more effectively, it is considered microdosing. You can microdose anything. You can microdose ice cream, I suppose, but you're not really going to get the same kind of journey or enhanced creativity.
I don't want to microdose snacks.
That sucks.
Snacks.
I like to macrodose those, but like
that's how I clean the things in my refrigerator. I just lick the ice cream.
Microdosing your almonds.
In California, they're packaging it now.
Holy shit! Is that Satan?
This is legit. This is Penis Envy, and Penis Envy caps are known for their big heads.
Okay.
Yeah. This one's called Gorilla Panic.
Okay.
This one's called I Wish I Was Dead.
Hold on. So it's all sealed. And so I get these companies send me some but this is the Penis Envy. This is the cap up.
Is it legal in California?
No.
I didn't. Okay. No. It just seems professional.
Oh, they're
in Oregon you can, right?
So let me tell you something. There are legit companies on Instagram who talk about their mushrooms in California. And I'm like,
would you suggest just getting it through the mail?
And just mushrooms. And so like there's always that debate of what gets you higher, the cap or the stem, but they're just dried out mushrooms.
How much do mushrooms cost? Like what?
It depends.
They're cheaper than weed.
Cost?
Yeah, they are
really?
cheaper.
I didn't know that.
Like I want to say that we paid like maybe $80 or $90 for 1/2 ounce, something like that.
That sounds about right. Maybe a little. That seems kind of cheap, actually.
Do you always keep the shroom intake pretty small level, or have you ever taken way too many and had a rough time?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was that a one-time lesson or multiple times?
Well, the lesson is honestly know how you're feeling before you take mushrooms. If you're nervous, if you're anxious, it's gonna be magnified. If you're nervous about taking the drugs, there's a good chance that you're gonna be tense going in. So for me, anybody, just relax and know that it's gonna, even if on a bad trip like Kyle had, it ends eventually. But that only comes from experience. Like I don't get nervous on weed anymore. I don't get paranoid because I know I'm not gonna die. I may be uncomfortable, but whatever. Do you know what I mean? I've been that uncomfortable enough times where it doesn't make me panic anymore. And so I don't take enough anymore. Like I'm not 7 gramming it like Kyle anymore. I'm anywhere from 1.5 to 3, just for fun. Just a good time. Do you have a
vivid recollection of any time that you took way too many and you hadn't learned to not panic yet? Like what happened?
Well, I will tell you, I was out once in Texas. I went to college in Texas, and there was this. We bought a huge bag of mushrooms, and this dude. This is the weirdest experience I've ever had on mushrooms. I was high, and my buddy Chris was high, and we were sitting around this campfire, and he was with his girl, and we were all kind of tripping a little bit. And my buddy Wayne, no matter, as soon as he drank or smoked or he was getting naked. If it was a party,
cool guy,
Wayne was naked, right? So Wayne was drinking. He used to drink gin out of this 1.75 liter, just straight gin.
A handle.
That's disgusting.
Fucking straight gin, this dude. And I just saw him, and he was like, "Hey, did we have any more of this popcorn?" And I go, "What?" And I go, "Wayne, that wasn't popcorn. Those were the mushrooms." He goes, "They were pretty good." I go, "Did you finish the bag?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh no." So maybe 2 hours later, Wayne comes back to the fire, naked, out of the woods, with all this firewood and his handle. And he drops the firewood and he goes, "Hey, you want to come back out in the woods with me and get some more firewood?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right, man." So we're walking away from the fire and it's pitch black. We're in the middle of nowhere. And I go, "Wayne, how can you see?" He goes, "I just follow the light." I go, "What light?" Let me tell you something.
He was holding it up like a light,
like a lantern.
Yeah.
He was 100% naked, walking through the woods. He walked out with 0 scratches. He didn't fall. He, for whatever reason, was seeing. I was walking into trees. I fell over. He was in a tree, pulling down branches because he could see with the light. Now, I asked somebody about this before. It was so fucking crazy to me because I'm like, that is definitely not a light.
It's gin, and there's only a little left.
Yeah, how are we doing this right now? This dude, it was the craziest thing. For whatever reason, he was seeing exactly where to go.
Could it be that like it made his pupils like
dilate
so big,
much?
like more dilated than they would ever naturally even be? And he actually has night vision now.
It's crazy because I imagine the moon gave the bottle at least a little bit of something,
Luminous,
right?
Yeah.
And so I think so too, that his pupils were so whacked that he was actually seeing in a place he had no business seeing.
He could see the code of the Matrix.
But dude, which is what I thought when I was on shrooms. I was like, this dude can see in the dark now. Like I ran back to when we went back to the fire, I was like, Wayne can see in the dark. Wayne can fucking see in the dark.
Yeah, I don't know. Something ran up and bit me earlier, and now I can see in the dark. I'm so thirsty.
Hey, give me some of that light. Let me see if I can see. Oh no, it's just
crazy. Yeah, I like mushrooms way more than acid because it doesn't last as long. And I can see the end in sight if I'm not enjoying myself.
Have you ever thought of doing DMT?
Yeah, I have. I would love to.
Because that's like 15 minutes. You know what scares me about DMT the most is that people, and it's really interesting. People say they see these elves when they're on DMT, and it's a common report from multiple people. It's not like 3 guys were together, they all did DMT, and one's like, "Do you see the elves?" And because of someone saying that, they're like, "Yeah, I do see elves now." It's like everyone who takes this reports that they meet elves that are friendly and supportive to them. And I was reading where they're talking about exposing someone who's from a completely separate culture, like some indigenous tribe, to DMT, and then seeing if they see the elves. Because if they see the elves, then we know there might actually be some fucking elves.
It does seem it's funny you said. I didn't know that was like, I didn't know everybody saw elves, but literally a buddy of mine who, the only friend I know who did DMT, he was like, yeah, I was on the surface of the moon and this little creature was telling me everything's going to be okay. You're worried about things that don't matter as much as you think. And I left the moon feeling better. And it's like,
let me ask you a question. Does this, for any of you guys, open up the possibility that there are just different realms that our normal brains don't have access to?
Yeah. I totally believe that, because like, if you want to look at like something that actually is based in science and isn't like tomfoolery and you just have to believe in, look at the wavelength of light that we can perceive versus how large the wavelength of light actually is. Like we can see from red to violet. That's the expanse of visible light that we're able to perceive with our human eyes. Lots of animals can see infrared or like various other spectrums of light. Yeah. And there's tons of stuff on the spectrum that like not even animals can see, that we have to use like advanced machinery and like scientific experiments to like, you know, be aware of. So like maybe there is some other plane of existence or something like that, some other dimension, something that you're opening your mind up to with DMT. They say that it's released in large amounts when you're born and when you die.
That's scary.
Yeah, I know, right? But the other way that they've described those elves is by talking about, but they've described them as gray aliens, and that is my biggest fear ever, is the gray aliens, like from the fucking X-Files and shit, that like take you up in the ship and torture you. So I feel like if I saw the elves, I'd be fucking drop kicking them and fucking. I like start an interdimensional war with the elves. They're like, we've never met a violent one before. They're always so friendly when they're here. And maybe I started.
They're always so nice when they get here.
Yeah, that big guy drop kick little Steve. Like Dave can't see anymore. He poked his eyes out. I'm up there just fucking choking out elves. Like maybe I shouldn't experiment with that stuff.
Maybe start with the gram of weed and go from there, or not gram. A gram of that's what it is, right?
That's it. Yeah, it's of edibles. Yeah.
Edibles,
I'm not gonna do a gram of concentrate is no big deal. I mean, all right, let me backtrack a little. It's a big deal, but it pales in comparison to a gram of edibles. It's like the difference between like drinking 6 shots really quick and drinking a bottle of tequila. Like 6 shots is going to get you pretty fucked up, but you'll be fine in a few hours. You drink a bottle of tequila, it's going to change your opinions on alcohol for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you're going to be feeling horrible that evening and the next day.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
I mean, some of those really intense hallucinogens really scare me. Like, I don't know. I don't think I would ever try DMT. It seems spooky. And I also, I'm coming in on Woody's side with this. I don't think that it's going to give you visions into an alternate reality.
Oh, okay. Obviously, these alternate realities are bullshit, and there is no infrared elves or whatever. This is insanity. We would discover them through other means. Where did you learn?
What other means, Woody?
Missing socks.
When your brain, let me ask you something.
Okay. Missing socks.
So when you hear about people tripping and what do you think that is that your brain is accessing?
There's some sort of like a false sensory input that's going on there. I don't think your brain is accessing a real realm that we can't otherwise access. What we've done instead is we've altered your brain to get false input.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, look, if it's a good time and it doesn't hurt anyone, do it. Do it. Like enjoy your life. Like I'm not judging. I'm just saying there's no scientific discoveries happening here. This is just fun. This is doing drugs, guys. You're doing drugs. You're having a great Friday night, but you're not breaking new grounds in science.
That DMT, from what I understand, and like I said, I've never done it. My buddy had a DMT vape, which sounds real dangerous.
Holy
yeah,
shit!
I didn't know they had that.
I didn't know that existed.
Dude, yes, that exists.
Where did you guys learn your stack ranking?
From what I understand, it feels like you're tripping for like hours and you're only high for like 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah. That's the thing, is the time perception, from what I understand, is it's like a 9, 10, 15 minute thing. But your perception of time is altered in such a way that you do not feel like 9 minutes just transpired. You have gone on an entire fucking vacation in your mind in the last 15 minutes. And those people almost always come out like changed as individuals. Like they feel like they've experienced something life-changing.
Why did you guys all freak out when you heard vape? I hear vape and I think it's the gentlest, kindest way to take
Oh,
pot. I'm
well,
told,
but it's
right?
just it's not that I have an experience with it or anything. It's just that like the idea that they take it from what's already like an experimental like drop or whatever you're going to put on your tongue and vaporize it and put it into the like respiratory system. It's just like a step further. It's like if you told me that they have a heroin vape. Like, holy shit, they're vaping heroin. Oh my god! Like, yeah, I like to put it in my eyeballs though. That's the real hardcore way. Like, oh, can't we just shoot it in our vein?
I don't have the same. I hear shooting directly into your bloodstream, and I think that's way more hardcore than vaping it. But
Oh,
I'm not
without a
saying
doubt.
I'm right. Okay, so you hear that too, yeah. But you guys all heard vaping DMT and thought of
I
it
was really
as
just surprised that it's a thing.
Yeah,
oh,
for me, when I heard Woody, what was surprising, it's the ease of which you can just carry it around. Like I was like, so I can just
oh.
have a DMT vape pen at the airport.
So they've taken something extreme and made it like
Yeah, like
something like teenagers would do in the high school hallways.
So I have
yeah,
some statistics about DMT experiences where they exposed like a study group to DMT and they asked them about their experience and so it's broken down percentage wise. Um, Apparently, most people said that the beings that they encountered were not hallucinations. About three, of course, these are people on DMT, right? But still, it just gives you an idea of what you're perceiving on DMT. About 3/4 of respondents said that they believe the beings were real, but that they exist in some kind of different dimension or reality, and only 9% said the being existed completely within myself. So like 1 in 10 people like agree with like the idea that I just saw some shit because I was on some drugs. That's interesting. The 81% said that they found the encounter to be realer than reality. They felt like this was a more real version of existence than what real life, quote unquote, feels like. Um,
You could get a bit of bias just in the kind of people that are most willing to sign up for a DMT study, I would imagine.
Perhaps.
I want to know so that my Joe Rogan talks about DMT and often says like it's like upgrading your RPG character, right? Suddenly you're more creative, you're more open-minded, you're a better version of yourself than prior to the DMT experience. I would like to hear Kyle's study and know what happened to these people afterwards. Was there any change, any measurable change? Did their income go up? Did they get into a creative field? Or are they just literally the same dude they were before?
The encounters were often followed by lasting changes in well-being and beliefs. About 1/4 of respondents said that they were atheists before the encounter, but only 10% said they were afterwards. Additionally, approximately 1/3 of respondents reported that before the encounter, their belief system included a belief in ultimate reality, higher power, God, or universal divinity. But a larger percentage, 58% of respondents reported this belief system after the encounter. What's more, 89% of the respondents said that the encounter led to lasting improvement in well-being or life satisfaction. Why? The researchers suggested that ontological shock, which is the state of being forced to question your worldview, may play an important role in the enduring positive life changes in attitude, moods, and behavioral attributes in these experiences.
Interesting.
Whoa. So no, there's not some sliding scale of like income or anything, but it seems that the people who have done it by an overwhelming percentage believe their life is improved.
And they started believing in imaginary things.
I don't think so. I think the way it's been explained to me with mushrooms and it's just hallucinogenics in general, and the way it is for mushrooms for me was almost like it just unlocked a part of my brain. It was like, like when you play a video game and you're like, did I unlock that level? Like I've never seen this before. And so for me, mushrooms, it did that, but they say that DMT takes it to a completely different level. And I definitely want to try it because the one thing I will say about DMT as opposed to mushrooms or acid, I very rarely have heard of anybody say I've had a bad trip.
Oh, but mushroom people do?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
Kyle just told you.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. My friends say it's set and setting. And I don't know why they don't say mindset and setting because that's what it means. But
yeah,
where you're taking
because they're high.
Okay. Where are you taking it? Like the setting that you're, who you're taking it with and the mindset going into it is.
So you don't want to like go on a trip to Walmart to pick up carrots or anything?
That'd be wrong. No. You want
you
to
might
do
end
it.
up having a panic attack there at Walmart, huh? Wouldn't want
Well, what's
that.
your happy place? Is your happy place in front of the TV? Is your happy
Do
place
love
around
Walmart.
a campfire? Is your like wherever that is where you should.
Dude, a campfire would be the fucking go-to, right? If you're sitting by a campfire, like a nice chair, crackling, maybe stars up above, like the smoke rising, the flames doing their thing. Maybe even have you ever seen that shit that you can throw into campfires that make them burn in multiple colors?
Plastic.
Yes.
No, not plastic, you fucking degenerate. There's these little bags of like granules that you like throw in the like campfires, and now the campfire is multicolored, green and blues and yellows and oranges that you normally wouldn't see in a campfire. I got a bag of that in the other room. I think I'm gonna take it to Colorado with me to like, we've got like a big like campfire area in the backyard. We're gonna roast some marshmallows and chill outside.
Have you guys ever been to Joshua Tree?
No.
Mm-mm.
That's for me, my favorite place to take mushrooms and just to be. I love being out in the desert high like that, or being on those rocks. We actually just bought some land out there, and I can't wait to just take mushrooms and never leave.
I mean, the whole like, I'm split on like the different world thing, because it would be so cool if that was real, but like I've never been convinced that shit exists because I had a really vivid dream, right? Like
what? And Taylor, would you ever take an hallucinogen? Would you ever do DMT or anything like that?
If I was in like a perfect environment, I would. I'm a high anxiety person, so I'd have a lot of trouble going into it, just being like, just relax and take the acid, idiot. It's like, no, I know I've taken acid. I'm about to freak out. I'm afraid. Right. Is that it starting? No, is that it starting? Like that whole unknown is scary to me. If I'm smoking weed or taking an edible or something, I know exactly what to expect. But with the hallucinogens, it is spooky.
You had to start with pot. You have to start with heroin. Just like
it's time for me to walk
your
through
anxiety.
Yeah. It's time for me to walk through that gateway into the rest of the drugs.
Last time Taylor and I were in Colorado together, I wanted to go do the sensory deprivation tank on like large doses of marijuana. For those that don't know, you're literally basically in a coffin filled with very salty water, so salty that you're incredibly buoyant. You just kind of float on top of it, and they shut the lid, and you're in there completely deaf, blind, and you're not touching anything, so there's no sense of touch anymore. And then on high doses of things like marijuana or like real hallucinogens like mushrooms or LSD or something like that, you go on some incredibly vivid trips. Like the guy who invented LSD would do that and like describe the trips he went on, and they sound fantastical.
You know, there are people who are microdosing LSD now.
Yeah.
Is that do the same thing as microdosing shrooms? Or
I don't know enough about it.
I read that it's that they feel much more creative when they're doing that. That it's activating some part of their brain or stimulating a part of their brain that's that's part of the creativity center or something like that.
You mean with the microdose?
Yeah. So they're not impaired. It's quite the opposite is their feeling. So if they're like writers or painters or something like that, they're just they feel more creative doing whatever their art form is.
It was popular amongst computer programmers when I was one. And I always felt like, what? Like my competitors are on brain steroids? This sucks. Like you're microdosing LSD to kick off your work day and being better at your job. So they say.
Yeah. It almost reminds me of the current season of American Horror Story. The sort of MacGuffin, the whole like central like thing is that this chemist has made these pills that are basically talent incarnate. If you are a talented person and you take this pill, now you're not just a writer, you're fucking Mark Twain. If you're a painter, you're not just a painter who can get their stuff into an art gallery, you're fucking Picasso. Like whatever your thing is, like it amplifies it to 100. However, if you're not talented, you basically go insane because now you have to face how untalented you are, and all of their hair falls out and they become like ghouls. So this town where it's going on in, there's these two groups of people at this point. They're the ghouls who are out in the street fucking eating rabbits. And then there are like these hyper talented, incredibly wealthy people who they're like, yeah, so we got you 2 Netflix deals, and Quentin Tarantino wants you to do a rewrite for him. And like it's a really interesting season.
I am going to microdose LSD and report back to you.
Get after it.
I like this.
I think I don't think I am. I know I am. I know somebody here in
Actually,
Tennessee
I just took it. I'm gonna be real.
Microdoses it, and I had never thought of it, but I'm going to give it a run.
All right. I look forward to hearing back your findings.
Yeah. I hope I don't end up one of those bald ghouls.
So what's your setting?
And for
What's your
Woody's
setting,
benefit,
Josh? Are you going to do it like prior to a show, and then you going to microdose and hit the stage? Are you going to microdose and hit the campfire? Like, what's the plan?
I think I'll microdose and probably try to write. Was what I would do.
Okay.
You know, I like the stage. Just my Saturday late show. I like to get a little twisted, but my thinking is like, if I can't, I only have to work 3 hours a week. If I can't stay sober, I got some problems. Do you know what I mean? So I try to figure out a way to, but also like, I don't ever want to be dependent on stage or being like, well, I got to be high to be funny or anything. That stuff makes me more nervous than anything else. Yeah. That my brain will start being like, well, you're not gonna be funny tonight because you're not high. Yeah. And so I don't ever want to get to that spot.